Nikola Tesla, the visionary who electrified the modern world. Chapter 1. Origins. A child of storm and imagination. On the night of July 9, 1856, a thunderstorm raged over the village of Smiljan in the Austrian Empire, in what is today Croatia. According to family accounts, the midwife attending the birth of Milutin and Nikola Tesla's fourth child declared the lightning a bad omen, proclaiming the baby would be a child of darkness. Nikola Tesla reportedly responded that her son would instead be a child of light. Whether this exchange actually occurred remains uncertain among historians, but the symbolism would prove fitting. The newborn, Nikola Tesla, would spend his life harnessing the very forces of nature that illuminated the sky that night. Tesla was born into a Serbian family living within the sprawling Austro-Hungarian Empire. His father, Milutin Tesla, served as an Eastern Orthodox priest and possessed considerable intellectual gifts, speaking multiple languages and writing with skill. His mother, Juka Mandic, came from a family of Serbian Orthodox clerics and inventors. Though she never received formal education, Juka demonstrated remarkable inventiveness, creating household tools and equipment to manage their home more efficiently. Tesla would later credit his mother's intuitive understanding of mechanical principles as the source of his own inventive talents. The young Nikola displayed unusual characteristics from early childhood. He experienced vivid flashes of light that appeared before his eyes, often accompanied by visions so realistic he struggled to distinguish them from reality. These episodes, which modern medical historians have suggested might have been a form of synesthesia or photographic memory manifestation, troubled him throughout his youth. Yet this same unusual neurology contributed to an extraordinary ability. Tesla could visualize mechanical devices in complete detail within his mind, rotating them, modifying them, and testing them without ever touching pencil to paper. His education began in Smiljan before the family moved to Gospic, where his father had been assigned a new position. There, Tesla attended the Higher Real Gymnasium. He excelled in mathematics, demonstrating such facility with integral calculus that his teachers initially suspected he was cheating. He could perform complex calculations in his head with speed that astonished his instructors. Languages came easily to him. He spoke Serbian, German, and later would add English, French, Italian, and Latin to his repertoire. A formative moment arrived during his adolescence. Tesla fell seriously ill with cholera shortly after graduating from gymnasium. Bedridden and near death, he convinced his father to allow him to pursue engineering rather than enter the priesthood as Milutin had hoped. The elder Tesla agreed, and Nikola recovered. Whether the improvement was coincidental or psychosomatic, the decision shaped everything that followed. In 1875, Tesla enrolled at the Austrian Polytechnic in Graz on a military scholarship. His work ethic during the first year bordered on obsessive. He rose at 3 in the morning and studied until 11 at night. He earned the highest grades in his class and passed twice as many exams as required. His professors wrote to his father expressing concern about the young man's health, warning that such intense study might kill him. But during his second year, Tesla's discipline collapsed. He became addicted to gambling, lost his scholarship, and ultimately left the institution without graduating. This pattern of brilliant achievement followed by sudden collapse would repeat throughout his life. In January 1880, Tesla traveled to Prague, ostensibly to attend Charles Ferdinand University. His father had died the previous year, leaving the family in difficult financial circumstances. Tesla attended lectures but never formally enrolled. He spent much of his time in coffeehouses and billiard halls, supporting himself through odd jobs. Within a year, his uncle secured him a position in Budapest at the Central Telegraph Office of the Hungarian government. Budapest transformed from a professional way station into the birthplace of Tesla's greatest insight. In 1882, while walking through the city park with a friend at sunset, Tesla was reciting passages from Goethe's Faust, a work he had memorized in its entirety. As he spoke the lines about the sun's retreat, a vision struck him with overwhelming force. He stopped walking and grabbed a stick to draw in the dirt. In that moment, Tesla claimed he saw completely formed in his mind the solution to a problem that had plagued electrical engineers for years: how to create a rotating magnetic field using alternating current. The prevailing electrical systems of the era used direct current, which flowed in one direction. Creating rotational motion required mechanical commutators, complicated brush and contact systems that sparked, wore down, and required constant maintenance. Tesla's revelation was elegant in its simplicity. By using multiple alternating currents out of phase with each other, he could create a rotating magnetic field without any mechanical movement at all. The rotating field would drag a conductor around with it, creating smooth, continuous motion. The polyphase alternating current motor had arrived fully formed in Tesla's imagination. Sources, books used, Tesla, inventor of the electrical age, W. Bernard Carlson, pages 1947, Wizard. The Life and Times of Nikola Tesla, Mark J. Safer, pages 731 * My Inventions, Nikola Tesla, chapters 1-2 Chapter 2, Europe before America. Tesla's position at the Budapest Telephone Exchange initially involved mundane administrative work, but his talent soon became apparent to his supervisors. He improved the existing equipment and demonstrated his engineering capabilities. When the Continental Edison Company established operations in Paris in 1882, Tesla secured a position with the growing organization. The company was expanding Thomas Edison's direct current system throughout Europe, installing lighting systems in buildings, theaters, and municipal projects. In Paris, Tesla worked as a troubleshooter and designer. The company sent him to Strasbourg in 1883 to fix problems at a new railway station lighting installation. A short circuit during an opening ceremony attended by Kaiser Wilhelm I had caused considerable embarrassment. Tesla not only resolved the electrical issues, but also used his time there to build the first prototype of his alternating current motor. He constructed it using materials he acquired locally, working in his spare hours at a locksmith's shop. The device worked exactly as Tesla had envisioned in Budapest. The rotating magnetic field turned the rotor smoothly without sparks or mechanical complexity. Tesla demonstrated his motor to local officials and businessmen, hoping to generate interest and financial backing. Despite its revolutionary potential, he found no investors willing to support further development. European industrialists were committed to existing direct current infrastructure and saw no reason to invest in an unproven alternative. Frustrated by the lack of support in Europe and encouraged by colleagues who spoke of greater opportunities in America, Tesla began considering emigration. Charles Batchelor, who managed the Continental Edison Company's Paris operations and had worked closely with Thomas Edison himself, recognized Tesla's exceptional abilities. When Tesla expressed his desire to seek opportunities across the Atlantic, Batchelor provided him with a letter of introduction to Edison. The exact wording of Batchelor's letter has been lost to history, but according to Tesla's later accounts, it contained a simple recommendation: "I know two great men and you are one of them. The other is this young man." Whether Batchelor actually wrote those words remains debated among historians. W. Bernard Carlson notes that while the quote appears in multiple Tesla biographies, no documentary evidence confirms it. Regardless of the letter's precise content, Tesla sailed for New York in 1884 with little money, his belongings, and his extraordinary mind filled with designs that would transform the world. The journey nearly ended in disaster before it began. Tesla had his ticket, money, and luggage stolen shortly before departure. He managed to board anyway, arriving in New York Harbor in June 1884 with 4 cents in his pocket, his own poetry, an article he had written, and calculations for a flying machine. He was 28 years old, spoke heavily accented English, and stood tall and thin with dark hair and striking blue-gray eyes. He had entered a nation in the midst of rapid industrialization, where electricity was beginning to reshape urban life, and where Thomas Edison reigned as the most famous inventor in America. Sources, books used, Tesla, inventor of the electrical age, W. Bernard Carlson, pages 4871 Wizard. The Life and Times of Nikola Tesla, Mark J. Safer, pages 3241 My Inventions, Nikola Tesla, Chapter 3 Chapter 3, Arrival in America, and Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison had already achieved legendary status by the time Tesla arrived at his door. The Wizard of Menlo Park had invented the phonograph, perfected the incandescent light bulb, and built the first electrical distribution systems in Manhattan. His laboratory complex on Pearl Street represented the future of urban electrification. Edison employed hundreds of workers and possessed both technical genius and business acumen that Tesla entirely lacked. The two men could hardly have been more different. Edison favored empirical experimentation, testing thousands of materials and configurations until he found what worked. He famously quipped that genius was 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Tesla worked primarily through theoretical analysis and mental visualization, building devices only after perfecting them in his imagination. Edison was a shrewd businessman and tireless self-promoter. Tesla cared nothing for commercial considerations and proved repeatedly unable to capitalize on his innovations. Despite their differences, Edison hired Tesla immediately. The Edison machine works desperately needed talented engineers to improve their direct current generators and solve technical problems with their expanding electrical systems. Tesla threw himself into the work with characteristic intensity. He redesigned Edison's generators, increasing their efficiency and output. He worked through nights, often arriving at the laboratory in the afternoon and working until dawn. Then came the dispute that would define their relationship in popular memory. According to Tesla's later accounts, Edison promised him $50,000 if he could redesign and improve the company's direct current generators. Tesla completed the work successfully, delivering significant improvements. When he requested payment, Edison allegedly laughed and said, "Tesla, you don't understand our American humor." The money was never paid. Historians debate what actually occurred. Mark Safer accepts Tesla's version, noting that $50,000 represented an enormous sum in 1885, roughly equivalent to over $1 million today. W. Bernard Carlson expresses more skepticism, pointing out that Tesla's account appeared decades after the fact and that no contemporary documentation supports the claim. Edison's company records show no evidence of such an offer. Carlson suggests the dispute may have involved a smaller amount, possibly a misunderstanding about wages or bonuses, which Tesla's memory later magnified. What remains undisputed is that Tesla resigned from Edison's employment in 1885, feeling undervalued and underpaid. The separation marked more than a personal falling out. It represented a fundamental clash between two competing visions for America's electrical future. Edison had invested everything in direct current systems. His generators, his distribution networks, his patents, and his reputation all depended on DC power. Tesla carried in his mind a complete alternative, the alternating current polyphase system that he had envisioned in Budapest and prototyped in Strasbourg. Direct current had severe limitations. It could not be transmitted efficiently over long distances. Voltage could not be easily transformed from one level to another. Every few miles required a new generating station. Edison's system worked well for lighting dense urban areas, but it could never economically power an entire nation. Alternating current, by contrast, could be stepped up to high voltages for efficient long-distance transmission, then stepped down for safe use in homes and factories. Tesla's polyphase system made motors practical as well, offering capabilities that DC simply could not match. Yet in 1885, Tesla had no resources to develop his system. He needed investors, manufacturing facilities, and time to refine his inventions into marketable products. What followed was perhaps the most difficult period of his American experience. Sources. Books used Tesla, inventor of the electrical age, W. Bernard Carlson, pages 72-96 Wizard. The Life and Times of Nikola Tesla, Mark J. Safer, pages 42-55 Prodigal Genius, John J. O'Neill, pages 46-58, noting later historical skepticism of some claims. Chapter 4, The War of Currents. After leaving Edison, Tesla met two businessmen who convinced him to form the Tesla Electric Light Company in 1885. They promised to support development of his alternating current system. Instead, they were interested only in an improved arc lighting system Tesla had designed. Once they had the patents for the arc lights, they maneuvered Tesla out of the company, leaving him with worthless stock certificates and nothing else. Tesla later described this period as one of terrible hardship. He took work digging ditches for $2 per day. The man who would revolutionize electrical engineering spent the winter of 1886 and early 1887 performing manual labor to survive. His fortunes changed when Alfred S. Brown, a superintendent at Western Union, and Charles F. Peck, a New York attorney, learned of Tesla's alternating current motor. Unlike the previous investors, Brown and Peck recognized the revolutionary potential of the technology. In April 1887, they formed a new partnership with Tesla, establishing a laboratory at 89 Liberty Street in Manhattan. The arrangement gave Tesla the resources he needed while allowing Brown and Peck to control the commercial rights to his patents. Tesla worked with extraordinary speed. Within months, he had constructed working prototypes of multiple polyphase motors and generators. He filed 7 patents in October 1887, covering the entire polyphase alternating current system, motors, generators, transformers, and transmission methods. The patents were granted in 1888, and they represented one of the most comprehensive electrical systems ever conceived by a single inventor. In May 1888, Tesla delivered a lecture before the American Institute of Electrical Engineers in New York. He demonstrated his polyphase motor and explained the theoretical principles behind the rotating magnetic field. The presentation attracted significant attention from the engineering community, including someone who understood precisely what Tesla had achieved. George Westinghouse was an inventor and industrialist who had made his fortune with railway air brakes. He had entered the electrical business and was searching for a way to compete with Edison's dominant direct current system. Westinghouse traveled to Tesla's laboratory to examine the motors firsthand. Impressed by what he saw, he negotiated an agreement to license Tesla's polyphase patents. The deal, finalized in July 1888, paid Tesla $60,000 immediately, $25,000 in cash and $35,000 in stock. Additionally, Westinghouse agreed to pay royalties of $2.50 per horsepower for every motor manufactured. If Tesla's system succeeded commercially, those royalties could make him one of the wealthiest men in America. Tesla moved to Pittsburgh to work with Westinghouse's engineers on adapting the polyphase system for commercial production. The collaboration proved difficult. Tesla's motors operated at frequencies around 130 Hz, while Westinghouse's existing systems used 60 Hz. The engineers wanted Tesla to modify his designs. Tesla resisted, insisting his system worked optimally at the higher frequency. Eventually, a compromise was reached closer to 60 Hz, the standard that would persist in North America. Meanwhile, Thomas Edison watched the rise of alternating current with growing alarm. His entire business model faced obsolescence if AC systems gained acceptance. Edison launched a public relations campaign to convince Americans that alternating current was deadly dangerous. Working with Harold P. Brown, an electrical engineer who shared Edison's opposition to AC, Edison's associates staged public demonstrations electrocuting animals with alternating current. They killed dogs, cats, and in one notorious 1903 spectacle, an elephant named Topsy, though historians debate Edison's direct involvement in that particular event. The campaign took a darker turn when Brown worked with Edison's representatives to ensure that New York's first electric chair would use Westinghouse's alternating current generators. The goal was to associate AC power with death in the public mind. In August 1890, William Kemmler became the first person executed by electrocution. The procedure was horrifically botched, requiring multiple applications of current. Rather than demonstrating AC's lethality, the execution highlighted the barbarism of the method itself. The strategy backfired. Most newspapers condemned the cruelty rather than the electrical system used. The decisive battles of the War of Currents were fought not in newspapers but in commercial competitions. In 1893, Westinghouse won the contract to illuminate the world's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. The scale was unprecedented. The fair would require far more electrical power than had ever been deployed in one location. Westinghouse underbid Edison by over $1 million, confident that Tesla's AC system could handle the load efficiently. The Chicago World's Fair opened in May 1893, and it was a triumph. 200,000 incandescent lamps illuminated the White City in a display that astounded visitors. Polyphase motors powered fountains, machinery, and moving sidewalks. Millions of fairgoers witnessed the superiority of alternating current firsthand. The system worked flawlessly throughout the exposition's 6-month run. Even more significant was the contract awarded in October 1893 for harnessing Niagara Falls to generate electricity. The Niagara Falls Commission had debated for years about which electrical system to employ. The choice between direct and alternating current represented more than a technical decision. It would determine the template for electrical infrastructure across the nation. After examining proposals from multiple companies, the Commission awarded the contract to Westinghouse Electric, specifying Tesla's polyphase system. The Niagara Falls Power Station began operation in 1896, transmitting electrical power 26 miles to Buffalo, New York. No direct current system could have accomplished this economically. The success demonstrated conclusively that alternating current represented the future of electrical distribution. Within a few years, DC systems began disappearing from new installations. Edison eventually merged his company with Thomson Houston Electric to form General Electric, which quietly adopted alternating current technology. Tesla had won the technical argument, but he would not reap the financial rewards. As the 1890s progressed, Westinghouse Electric faced severe financial difficulties. The royalty payments owed to Tesla threatened to bankrupt the company. According to widely repeated accounts, Westinghouse visited Tesla personally and explained the situation. Tesla reportedly tore up the royalty contract, forfeiting millions of dollars in future payments to save the company that had supported his work. The story appears in numerous Tesla biographies, but contemporary documentation is lacking. W. Bernard Carlson notes that while some royalty renegotiation certainly occurred, the dramatic scene of Tesla tearing up the contract may be apocryphal. Regardless of the precise circumstances, Tesla did accept a buyout of his royalty rights for $216,000 in 1897, eliminating the fortune that might have funded his later work. Sources. Books used Tesla. Inventor of the Electrical Age. W. Bernard Carlson. Pages 97-174 Wizard. The Life and Times of Nikola Tesla, Mark J. Safer. Pages 56-96 Empires of Light. Edison, Tesla, Westinghouse, and the Race to Electrify the World, Jill Johns. Pages 143-247 Chapter 5. The inventor at his peak with his alternating current system successfully launched. Tesla turned his attention to higher frequency electrical phenomena. In the early 1890s, he developed what would become his most famous invention, the Tesla coil. This device used a spark gap and resonant transformer circuits to generate extremely high voltage, high-frequency alternating current. The voltages could reach hundreds of thousands or even millions of volts, creating spectacular electrical discharges that arced through the air. Tesla's demonstrations of his high-frequency apparatus became legendary. At lectures before scientific societies in America and Europe, he would illuminate wireless lamps by simply holding them near his equipment. He passed high-frequency currents through his own body, causing phosphorescent tubes to glow in his hands. He created artificial lightning that crackled across his laboratory. These demonstrations were partly scientific and partly theatrical, designed to capture public imagination while illustrating genuine electrical principles. The high-frequency currents produced by Tesla coils had an unusual property that Tesla investigated thoroughly. At sufficiently high frequencies, electrical current flows primarily along the surface of conductors rather than through their volume, a phenomenon known as the skin effect. Tesla discovered that high-frequency currents could pass over the surface of his body without causing the burns and muscle contractions associated with lower-frequency electricity. This allowed his dramatic demonstrations, though they were not without risk. Tesla carefully controlled the conditions to ensure safety. Beyond spectacle, Tesla's high-frequency work led to genuine scientific contributions. He conducted some of the earliest research into what would later be called X-rays, though he did not pursue the discovery systematically enough to receive credit for it. Wilhelm Röntgen announced the discovery of X-rays in November 1895. Tesla had been producing similar radiation earlier, but had not recognized its significance or published his results. After Röntgen's announcement, Tesla sent him some of the best X-ray photographs that had yet been produced, created using his high-frequency equipment. Tesla also explored wireless transmission of energy and information. In 1893, he gave a lecture before the National Electric Light Association in St. Louis, demonstrating wireless lighting and discussing the possibility of wireless communication. He constructed transmitters and receivers and successfully transmitted signals across his laboratory. These experiments laid genuine groundwork for radio technology, but Tesla's approach was conceptually different from the electromagnetic wave theory that Guglielmo Marconi would later exploit. Here, history becomes complicated by competing claims and bitter patent disputes. Tesla filed several patents related to radio transmission, but so did many other inventors working on similar problems. Marconi demonstrated transatlantic radio transmission in 1901 and received enormous publicity. Tesla claimed priority, insisting Marconi was using 17 of his patents. The U.S. Patent Office initially awarded some fundamental radio patents to Tesla, then reversed its position in 1904, granting them to Marconi instead. The reasons for this reversal remain debated. Some historians suggest political and financial influences, as Marconi had powerful backers. In 1943, months after Tesla's death, the Supreme Court overturned Marconi's patents and restored priority to Tesla, though by then the practical matter was moot. Modern historians generally recognize that radio was not invented by any single person. Multiple researchers, including Tesla, Marconi, Oliver Lodge, Reginald Fessenden, and others, contributed essential components. Tesla's work on resonant circuits and tuning was fundamental, but he did not develop a complete practical radio system for communication. Marconi deserves credit for engineering radio into a reliable commercial technology, even if he built upon principles others had established. In 1899, Tesla relocated to Colorado Springs, Colorado, establishing an experimental station to investigate atmospheric electricity and wireless power transmission on a larger scale. He chose the location for its altitude and the frequency of thunderstorms. There, he constructed an enormous Tesla coil, far larger than anything he had built in New York. The primary coil was 51 feet in diameter. The mast supporting the secondary coil rose 142 feet into the air. Tesla's experiments in Colorado Springs pushed electrical science to its limits. He created artificial lightning bolts over 100 feet long. He lit 200 lamps wirelessly at a distance of 26 miles. He claimed to have detected electrical signals that he believed originated from extraterrestrial sources, though modern analysis suggests he was detecting natural radio noise or possibly even emissions from Jupiter. His notebooks from Colorado Springs, preserved and later published, document genuine scientific observations mixed with speculative interpretations. The Colorado Springs laboratory operated for only 9 months, from June 1899 to January 1900. Financial constraints and conflicts with the local power company, whose generator Tesla had accidentally destroyed, forced him to close the facility. He returned to New York, convinced that he had proven wireless power transmission was possible on a global scale. He had not actually proven this, but he believed it absolutely, and he would stake everything on attempting to realize the vision. *** sources. Books used *** Tesla, inventor of the electrical age. W. Bernard Carlson. Pages 175–256 * Wizard. The Life and Times of Nikola Tesla. Mark J. Safer. Pages 97–178 * Colorado Springs Notes. 1899–1900. Nikola Tesla. Various entries. Chapter 6. Wardenclyffe and the Dream of Wireless Power. Tesla needed funding to build a full-scale wireless transmission facility. He approached the most powerful financier in America, J. Pierpont Morgan. In December 1900, Tesla sent Morgan a proposal for a wireless communications system that would allow messages to be transmitted across the Atlantic, competing with Marconi's transatlantic telegraph. Morgan agreed to invest $150,000 in exchange for a 51% interest in the enterprise. With Morgan's backing, Tesla purchased 200 acres of land at Shoreham, on Long Island, about 60 miles from New York City. He hired the renowned architect Stanford White to design a facility that included a laboratory building and the now iconic tower that would become known as Wardenclyffe. The tower itself was constructed of wood, rising 187 feet, topped with a copper dome 55 feet in diameter. Beneath the tower, Tesla had workers dig a shaft 120 feet deep into the bedrock, lined with steel to create what he described as a huge underground conductor. But Tesla had not been entirely forthright with Morgan about his intentions. While the stated purpose was wireless telegraphy, Tesla's real goal was far more ambitious: wireless transmission of electrical power to any point on Earth. He believed the planet itself could be used as a conductor, and that by properly exciting it with electrical oscillations at specific frequencies, power could be drawn from the ground anywhere. This vision, which Tesla called his world system, would make electrical power universally available without wires. The theory behind wireless power transmission remains debated. Tesla believed he could use extremely low-frequency electromagnetic waves that would propagate through the Earth rather than through the atmosphere. Modern physics recognizes that such transmission is theoretically possible, but would be enormously inefficient over long distances. The Earth's conductivity is poor, and losses would be substantial. Tesla's calculations suggested otherwise, but they were based on assumptions that later research has not supported. Construction of Wardenclyffe proceeded through 1901 and 1902, but costs quickly exceeded estimates. Tesla repeatedly requested additional funds from Morgan. The financier, growing skeptical about the project's commercial viability, refused. When Marconi successfully transmitted a radio signal across the Atlantic in December 1901, Morgan saw no reason to continue funding Tesla's more speculative venture. He declined further investment. Tesla struggled to find alternative financing. He pleaded with Morgan in increasingly desperate letters, explaining the revolutionary potential of his system. Morgan remained unmoved. Other potential investors were frightened away by the project's cost and uncertain returns. Without adequate funding, construction slowed and eventually stopped. The tower stood incomplete, a monument to ambition exceeding resources. Making matters worse, Tesla's financial situation deteriorated severely. He had invested his own money into Wardenclyffe, expecting Morgan's backing to continue. When it did not, he found himself deeply in debt. He borrowed from friends and associates. He fell behind on payments to contractors. By 1905, the facility was essentially abandoned. Tesla retained ownership but lacked funds to complete or operate it. The technical reasons for Wardenclyffe's failure are clearer in hindsight than they were to Tesla at the time. Even if his wireless power transmission system had worked as he envisioned, there was no obvious business model. How would one charge customers for power they could extract from the ground anywhere? Edison's and Westinghouse's systems succeeded because they metered consumption and charged accordingly. Tesla's vision of unlimited free energy, however appealing philosophically, undermined any prospect of commercial success. No investor would fund infrastructure that eliminated the ability to charge for the product it delivered. Some historians have suggested that Morgan withdrew support precisely because he understood this problem. If wireless power actually worked, it would threaten existing electrical utilities and the investments behind them. W. Bernard Carlson considers this conspiracy theory unlikely, noting that Morgan had no particular stake in electrical utilities that would be threatened, and that his withdrawal more plausibly stemmed from skepticism about whether the technology would work at all. The simpler explanation, that Morgan was a hard-headed businessman who stopped funding a project when it showed no prospect of profitability, requires no conspiracy. Wardenclyffe represented more than a technical failure. It marked the end of Tesla as an independent inventor capable of bringing his visions to reality. After 1905, he would propose many more inventions and innovations, but he would never again have the resources to develop them fully. The tower stood unused for several years before being demolished in 1917, its materials sold for scrap to pay some of Tesla's debts. Sources, books used, Tesla, inventor of the electrical age, W. Bernard Carlson, pages 257-330 Wizard. The Life and Times of Nikola Tesla, Mark J. Safer, pages 179-261, My Inventions, Nikola Tesla, Chapter 5 / Chapter 7, Later Years, Myths, and Loneliness after Wardenclyffe. Tesla's life became increasingly isolated and eccentric. He moved between a series of New York hotels, often leaving behind unpaid bills. The Hotel New Yorker became his final residence in 1933, where he occupied room 3327 at a greatly reduced rate, essentially living on credit based on his former fame. He maintained a strict daily routine that included long walks to feed pigeons in nearby parks, particularly Bryant Park and the steps of the New York Public Library. Tesla's relationship with pigeons became almost obsessive. He spent considerable time and money feeding them and caring for injured birds. He particularly favored one white pigeon with light gray tips on its wings. In one of his more peculiar statements to a reporter, Tesla claimed to have loved this bird as a man loves a woman, and that the bird loved him in return. When the pigeon died, Tesla said something went out of his life, and he knew his life's work was finished. Historians interpret this statement as evidence of Tesla's profound loneliness and his need for emotional connection, which he could not establish with other humans. His personal habits became increasingly ritualistic and peculiar. He insisted that the number of his hotel room be divisible by 3. He required exactly 18 napkins to clean his dining utensils before eating. He calculated the cubic volume of food portions before consuming them. He wore white gloves to dinner and would not shake hands due to fear of germs. Modern psychiatrists examining Tesla's documented behaviors have suggested possible obsessive-compulsive disorder, though retrospective diagnosis is inherently speculative. Despite his financial struggles, Tesla maintained his public image as a visionary scientist. He issued periodic press releases on his birthdays, often making spectacular claims about new inventions. In the 1930s, he announced developments including a death ray capable of destroying aircraft at hundreds of miles distance, a pocket-sized device that could cause earthquakes, and a method of transmitting power through the upper atmosphere. None of these announcements led to working devices or demonstrations. The death ray claim deserves particular attention given its persistent presence in Tesla mythology. In 1934 and again in 1937, Tesla described to the press a directed energy weapon based on a beam of charged particles. He called it a peace ray and claimed it would make war impossible by providing perfect defense against aerial attack. He offered the invention to several governments, including the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union. No country purchased the technology, and no evidence exists that Tesla ever built a functioning prototype. Modern historians and physicists examining Tesla's descriptions conclude the proposed particle beam weapon would face insurmountable technical obstacles given available technology. The energy requirements would be enormous, the targeting systems beyond 1930s capabilities, and atmospheric dispersion would severely limit range. W. Bernard Carlson suggests Tesla was extrapolating from his high-frequency experiments without adequately considering practical engineering constraints. Mark Safer is somewhat more sympathetic, noting that particle beam research decades later validated some conceptual elements. Though not the extraordinary capabilities Tesla claimed, Tesla's later pronouncements on cosmic rays, atomic energy, and relativity put him increasingly at odds with mainstream physics. He rejected Einstein's theory of relativity, insisting that space could not be curved and that matter and energy were fundamentally distinct. He proposed alternative theories based on an omnipresent ether that transmitted electrical effects. The physics community, having moved on to quantum mechanics and relativistic physics, largely ignored him. Yet even in decline, Tesla occasionally demonstrated flashes of his former brilliance. In 1928, he patented a design for a vertical takeoff aircraft that anticipated some principles of modern helicopters and drones. His work on bladeless turbines, though never commercially successful, was genuinely innovative. His ideas about standing waves and resonant frequencies influenced later developments in various fields, even if his specific applications proved impractical. The question of Tesla's celibacy and social isolation warrants examination. Tesla claimed he had never married or engaged in romantic relationships because such entanglements would have distracted from his work. He made statements suggesting he considered women intellectually inferior, though he also expressed admiration for strong, educated women and predicted they would eventually dominate society. His attitudes reflected the contradictions of his era and his own complex psychology. Various biographers have speculated about Tesla's sexuality, with some suggesting he may have been asexual or repressed homosexual feelings. The historical evidence permits no definitive conclusion. What is clear is that Tesla lived in profound emotional isolation, forming few close friendships and no intimate relationships. His closest bonds were professional relationships with benefactors and collaborators, and even these were often strained by Tesla's difficult personality and unrealistic expectations. Sources. Books used Tesla. Inventor of the Electrical Age. W. Bernard Carlson. Pages 330–408 Wizard. The Life and Times of Nikola Tesla, Mark J. Safer, pages 262–398 Prodigal Genius, John J. O'Neill, pages 248–319 Chapter 8 Death and Legacy on January 7, 1943. A maid at the Hotel New Yorker ignored the Do Not Disturb sign on Tesla's door after he had not emerged for several days. She found him dead in his bed. The coroner determined he had died on January 5. The cause of death was listed as coronary thrombosis. Nikola Tesla was 86 years old. He died alone and in debt, his greatest ambitions unrealized. The immediate aftermath of Tesla's death took an unusual turn. Because Tesla was a citizen of Yugoslavia, then under Nazi occupation, and because he had spent years working on weapon systems and communicating with foreign governments, the United States government classified him as an alien. The Office of Alien Property Custodian seized all his belongings from his hotel room, including his papers, notebooks, and personal effects. The FBI became involved, concerned about whether Tesla's papers contained information that might be valuable to the war effort or dangerous if they fell into enemy hands. The government appointed Dr. John G. Trump, a professor of electrical engineering at MIT and an expert in high-voltage phenomena, to examine Tesla's materials. Trump spent several days reviewing the papers and equipment. His report concluded that Tesla's writings were primarily speculative and philosophical, and did not contain new sound, workable principles, or methods. This report has fueled decades of conspiracy theories. Skeptics argue that Trump's dismissal was too quick and superficial, suggesting a cover-up. They speculate that the government seized Tesla's secrets and classified them for military use. In reality, Trump's assessment was consistent with what Tesla's colleagues had observed during his final decades. Brilliant insights mixed with increasingly impractical ideas, unsupported by rigorous mathematics or experimental evidence. Tesla's papers were eventually returned to his family and are now housed primarily at the Tesla Museum in Belgrade, Serbia. Researchers have examined them extensively. While they contain fascinating glimpses into Tesla's thought processes and some interesting technical observations, they do not reveal suppressed superweapons or free energy devices. The conspiracy theories persist nonetheless, particularly in popular culture where Tesla has become a symbol of the lone genius whose revolutionary inventions were suppressed by corporate or government interests. The reassessment of Tesla's place in history began slowly. In his final years, he had been largely forgotten except as an eccentric figure from the past. The Tesla unit, measuring magnetic flux density, was adopted at the International System of Units in 1960, giving his name permanent presence in physics. During the 1990s and 2000s, popular interest in Tesla surged dramatically, driven partly by the internet and partly by a broader cultural fascination with maverick inventors. This renewed attention has been both beneficial and problematic. On one hand, Tesla has received long overdue recognition for his genuine contributions to electrical engineering. His polyphase alternating current system truly did revolutionize power distribution. His work on high-frequency electricity, resonant circuits, and wireless transmission was groundbreaking. His demonstrations and public lectures helped generate excitement about electricity's potential at a crucial moment in technological history. On the other hand, Tesla has become encrusted with myths that obscure rather than illuminate his actual achievements. He is credited with inventions he did not create and discoveries he did not make. Free energy devices, anti-gravity machines, and death rays appear in popular Tesla mythology despite no credible evidence. These exaggerations do Tesla a disservice by making him a symbol of pseudoscience rather than a practitioner of rigorous electrical engineering. Serious historical scholarship has worked to distinguish the real Tesla from the mythological figure. W. Bernard Carlson's Biography, published in 2013, represents perhaps the most balanced assessment to date. Carlson portrays Tesla as a brilliant inventor whose genuine achievements were considerable, but who was limited by his inability to think commercially, his tendency toward grandiose impractical schemes, and his poor business judgment. Mark Safer's earlier biography is more sympathetic to Tesla's claims and more willing to credit some of the more speculative projects, but even Safer distinguishes between documented achievements and unsupported legends. Tesla's influence on modern technology is undeniable. Every time someone plugs an appliance into a wall socket, They are using a system based fundamentally on Tesla's polyphase alternating current invention. Electric motors, generators, and transformers throughout the world employ principles Tesla developed. The Tesla coil remains widely used in radio technology and electronic circuits. His ideas about wireless transmission influenced early radio development, even if others made it commercially practical. Perhaps most significantly, Tesla embodied a particular archetype of the inventor, the visionary more interested in possibility than practicality, more focused on what could be than what was profitable. This made him a commercial failure but a scientific inspiration. He demonstrated that individual brilliance could still matter in an age of increasing corporate research and development. His willingness to pursue seemingly impossible goals, even at great personal cost, continues to resonate with engineers and scientists who face pressure to think only in terms of immediate applications. The electric car company Tesla, Inc., founded in 2003, took his name as homage to this spirit of innovation. Whether the company embodies Tesla's actual values is debatable. He cared little about commercialization, while the modern Tesla is fundamentally a commercial venture. But the gesture reflects how completely Tesla has entered popular imagination as a symbol of electrical innovation. Nikola Tesla died without wealth, without family, and without seeing most of his grandest visions realized. Yet his core achievement, the alternating current polyphase system, became the foundation of the modern electrical grid. In this, he succeeded beyond what even he might have imagined when he first visualized the rotating magnetic field in a Budapest park. The world he helped create, illuminated by electricity and powered by motors, would have astonished him even as he would insist that humanity had barely begun to harness electricity's true potential. Books used Tesla, inventor of the electrical age, W. Bernard Carlson, pages 409-443 Wizard, The Life and Times of Nikola Tesla, Mark J. Safer, pages 399-454 Prodigal Genius, John J. O'Neill, pages 320-340 My Inventions, Nikola Tesla, Chapter 6, FBI Files on Nikola Tesla, declassified documents available through the FBI Freedom of Information Act archives.